All right, everybody, let's get into it. Terry, your impressions?
My impressions with the Lions is I'm not going to come on here and just say they played bad. I thought what happened with them yesterday was that Minnesota played a very good game defensively, and they put the Lions, they made the Lions out of sync.
Correct.
They always blitz, but they made some changes in their blitz packages. The Lions didn't catch up on it, never did. But I got good news for you today. Lions lost by 3 points. The way they played special teams, defense, and offense, they should have lost by 17.
Yeah.
How in the hell did they only lose by 3?
Woodward Sports Chat thread, sideless in the Super Chat. The Knicks series taught them boys needed to get strong. They look way tougher than last year. I would agree with that. Terry, getting back to what you said, here's the bottom line. Freddie Felt 313. The only team that can beat the Lions is the Lions. And the Lions beat
not gonna go that far.
Well, Spenny, the Lions beat the Lions' ass yesterday.
They did.
They did. Terry, you know me, dude. Like, I work in baselines. You commit 10 penalties in a game, you ain't winning. And I say ain't for effect. Hat tip Ryan Armani. Like, you are not winning. You back that up with, what were they, 26% on third down?
Yeah.
Which is which is good for them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's an improvement.
They are 25th in the league in third down percentage. And what do we, Spenny, throughout the time when we talked about playoff baseball, what is playoff baseball? 2-strike hitting. What do you do can you get hits with 2 strikes? Football, the NFL, is a third down league.
Yes, sir.
What happens on third down is what dictates the game.
Hello.
They are 25th in the league in third down percentage, and they committed 10 penalties yesterday. And you're not beating anyone. Anyone. You're not. Flat out.
No, it's true. But I don't think even with the 10 penalties, watching the game, I don't think the Lions beat themselves. They got their asses beat. It wasn't the Lions, we just coming in and lollygag. Minnesota took them out of their game. They punished them on both lines. That's not beating yourself. That's you getting your asses beat.
I agree, Terry.
I thought Minnesota was like, okay, motherfuckers, let's see what you're going to do.
And
they
that is
didn't
true.
do anything.
The point of attack where the Lions dominate football
They
games.
got out physical big time.
Yes, they did. And Spenny, when we last week, I said, what's the path for Minnesota to win? That.
Yeah.
What they did defensively. And, look, Hargrave's been a bust for them for the most part, but not yesterday.
Not yesterday.
He was good Hargrave yesterday. He was. And, look, Minnesota, props to them. They dominated the point of attack. They were the tougher football team.
They were.
Period.
And to Spenny's point, he had said this a couple weeks ago, and it is rang so true. Your offensive line ain't what it was last year, and you went from a dominant running team, a dominant team in the trenches, to just a pretty good team in the trenches. They have their moments where they are really, really good, but you have seen them lapse at times. And yesterday, you just totally got dominated. Those young guys were targets, Mahogany, Tate Ratledge. They constantly got pressure up the middle. And we all know that's kryptonite to Jared Goff.
Terry,
Kryptonite.
and look, no one can debate that. Nobody can. You can be the biggest. You can be the biggest Lions apologist ever. Nobody can. And look, you can say the things. Do teams go undefeated at home for a season? No. It doesn't have. You're going to lose a home game at some point during a season.
That's all the Lions do is lose at home. They don't lose on the road until this year.
But Terry, see, here's the thing. When you get pushed around up front, like they did, especially on the offensive line, and it goes back to what we said earlier about the changes in the offensive line. What is Tate Ratledge? What is Mahogany? In effect, they're
Rookies.
Yeah.
And we didn't do. I think that we make a mistake sometimes where we get caught up in it. I do. We always think. Sean Baligian says you make the exception the rule. And when they came out and they were dominant after they bounced back against the Packers game, we're like, okay, everything's fixed. We didn't do a good enough job in foresight to say you're gonna ride a wave with Ratledge and Mahogany. They're not just gonna they're good now and this is the way they're gonna be forever. They're just not.
in every game.
In every game. They're not. And Spenny, they're not as good on the offensive line.
Nope.
You don't just lose a player like Frank Ragnow. You plug in a rookie and say no drop off.
Right. And Graham Glasgow.
The only time you say no drop off is like when Sharon Moore becomes your coach. That's the only time you say no drop off.
Yeah.
But like
So far, so good.
no, but just joking, everybody, calm down. But anyway, though, Terry, if we expected that to be the norm, what they did after they bounced back against the Green Bay game, then shame on us.
But you know what? It's going to be shame on us again because they'll be back to the normal next week because that's what they do. When they get licked, they adjust, they figure things out, and then they're a different team the next week. That's just what the Lions do. And there's been so many games. We've had games where you're like, oh, shit. The Lions are falling apart. Baltimore, after that, Chicago a couple years ago. The Lions are like this high wire act. They move steadily. They win games. You get comfortable as a fan base, and then all of a sudden, bam, there's that clunker. The clunker hits. Yesterday was the clunker. And how did the Lions rebound? I'd be more concerned if the Lions looked bad against the Commanders than I would against the Vikings. Because then that means that cycle of adjusting and being better after a loss is over. That's what we have to watch out for.
Correct. No.
Plus, the other thing, Neil, the offensive line was pretty good. I'm not going to say great until yesterday. If you get on this air and say, oh, yeah, the offensive line is doing pretty good, but watch out, it's going to happen, then you're accused of being a hater.
That is also true.
Yeah.
Right.
And to Terry's point, like I definitely get what you say. It's bad. I almost hate that we haven't lost back-to-back in almost 3 years now because eventually it's going to happen. And I don't know if the fan base is ready for when that day comes. But even if they were to say lose to the Commanders next week, I'd be okay as a fan. It just can't look like what this Vikings game looks like. If it looks like that, then maybe we do have a problem. But overall, to your point, Terry, they're a team that knows how to rebound. They know how to go watch the tape, figure out what the hell happened, and answer and respond the very next week.
And I think a lot of the problems with the Lions offense was highlighted because of the penalties, the pre-snap things like that. When you are playing an aggressive defense like the Minnesota Vikings and Brian Flores, if you have false starts, if you have illegal formations, illegal shifts like that back you up, and it goes from 1st and 10 to 1st and 15 or to 2nd and 10, there's not much you're going to do, especially when you're not the team you could just bust off 7 yards of carry whenever you wanted. This offense is about setting things up. It's about winning on first down, and it's about rhythm and timing. That's what Jared Goff wins at. That's what he does well, is rhythm and timing, knowing this is where I'm throwing the ball, when I'm supposed to throw the ball, boom, boom. And when you are behind the sticks, that throws a wrench into all of that, and that makes you have to go and do something uncharacteristic, and that's where you see bad things happen. So when you don't have the natural fallback of, okay, we run behind this offensive line and get 6 yards of carry, you cannot put yourself behind the sticks because that just terminates drives.
No, and how many times was it 2nd and something team?
Yep.
Right.
3rd and something team. Like,
Exactly.
You can't win in this. I don't care who you're playing. You can't beat the Panthers at home playing like that.
Okay. Taylor Decker spoke to it, them being behind schedule, those 3rd downs, and, they were 0 of 20 going into that game on 3rd and 10-plus type of plays. It's hard on 3rd and long for any team, but the fact that you are constantly finding yourself in those situations as opposed to last year when your offensive line was good, you were getting a lot of 3rd and shorts, and that made the 4th down decisions that much easier because your run game was dominant and you were able to utilize that. This year it's a different story for the Lions, and they have to find ways to combat that and get on schedule, because if you in 3rd and long, Jared Goff is not the type of quarterback you want to just sit back.
There's no quarterback you want.
No,
there's no quarterback
sure.
you want in 3rd and long.
But he's not
none.
particularly good when you can just tee off on him, where you know he has to throw and he has to drop back.
Patrick Mahomes was in that situation too and didn't do well.
Yeah.
And
he got his ass kicked. Yeah. Why didn't he just run away?
No, I'm not talking about
He
just
did run away a
yesterday, but
couple
I'm
times.
talking about in the Super Bowl. And there's certain games where that offensive line for Kansas City is playing like crap. And even Patrick Mahomes, the great Patrick Mahomes, looks normal.
That's odd. He should have just ran away.